Throughout history, the world has seen a lot of empires, from the Egyptian Empire, on which they worshiped the sun, to the British Empire, on which the sun never set. For thousands of years, these empires have dominated the world. They've shifted the global landscape and been largely responsible for technology, innovation, and even the spreading of religious and political philosophies. But today, we have different types of empires. We have sports empires, media empires, pharmaceutical, retail, technology empires. Name any industry, and there's a company that dominates its landscape. But forget the corporations. People who run these companies are considered just as powerful as people who run the world's largest countries. They're not just CEOs, they're modern-day emperors. These corporations and their emperors control vast sectors of society and influence everything from the things you buy to the politicians in office. You no longer need military power to control the world. All you need is money. Throughout history, to become an emperor, money didn't cut it. Before our modern era, every empire was built using four things: a crown, cash, cold hard steel, and the fourth, which is often overlooked: a cause worth dying for. For one man, that cause was Christianity. It led him to conquer most of Western Europe and establish the Holy Roman Empire. He was one of the most successful warrior kings in European history. His name was Charles the Great, but his emperor name was Charlemagne. Buckle up, it's time for Centuries Collide. Today, Apple and Microsoft employees fortunately don't have to line up in a battlefield to duke it out in hand-to-hand combat. Instead, they fight each other through advertising, and they expand their tech empires through beheadings and disembowelments. They expand their technological empires through market share and gross revenue. Sorry, the beheadings, that was Charlemagne's thing. In the 8th century, you didn't fight your enemies to simply expand your bottom line. You dominated your enemies in the name of your god. As we all know, just about every war ever fought has been waged around religion. Even today, religious wars fought all over the world. And if we look back through time, especially into the medieval times, not much changes. You see, in the 8th century, Europe looked a lot different. Italy, Germany, Switzerland, France, Spain, they didn't exist yet. At the time of Charlemagne, the lands of Western Europe was known as Francia, controlled by the Franks. Now, you're gonna hear the term Franks thrown around a lot in this episode, so let me break it down for you. The term Franks was given to the Germanic tribes that settled in the northern parts of the Roman Empire. After the fall of Rome in 325 AD, it was the Franks' turn to build an empire of their own. So, after 300 years of mergers, acquisitions, and bloody civil wars, the Franks ended up expanding their territory quite extensively. And this expanded territory became known as the Frankish Kingdom. Which brings us to the father of Charlemagne, Pepin the Short. Main thing you need to know about Pepin is that he officially established the Carolingian dynasty with a little help from the Pope. Pepin defeated the Lombards and was crowned king in 751.
Okay, that's it? That's all I got? That's it? Expecting a little bit more there. Okay.
After his coronation, he donated a ton of modern-day northern Italy to the papacy. Now, the Pope pulls a fast one on poor Pepin by drafting up a document called the Donation of Constantine, which was supposedly written by Emperor Constantine himself.
Mail!
This is important, so pay attention. The Donation of Constantine basically meant that you could be king because the Pope allowed it. And as long as you knew that the Pope had ultimate authority over your right to reign, everything would be ship-shape. Much like a corporate board allows a CEO to run the company.
Special delivery.
Ooh, what is it?
It's the Donation of Constantine.
don't know what that is.
Yeah.
What do I do?
You're supposed to read it and sign it.
I can't read.
Well, you go this way, and then you sign it.
Okay, I can just sign it.
Pepin accepted this agreement, but what he didn't know, being uneducated and basically illiterate, is that this document was a complete forgery. It was simply a clever scheme by the papacy to seize power. On September 24th, 768, King Pepin passed away and split his kingdom between his two sons, Charlemagne and his younger brother Carloman. Now, like many inherited family businesses, or in this case, kingdoms, it was almost doomed from the very beginning. Let's just say the two brothers didn't exactly get along. Carloman was basically the hippie brother and opposed military intervention.
No war, man.
While Charlemagne was like, yo, slaughter is my specialty.
My specialty.
A nearly disastrous family feud began over Charlemagne's first marriage to a Lombard princess. This marriage was so short and unsuccessful that we're not even sure what the poor princess's name was. But her father, the king of the Lombards, was so upset over the whole situation that he hit up Carloman, Charlemagne's younger brother,
Lombard king.
and was like, yo,
Your brother refused my daughter, dishonored my family, so I'm a little ticked. You want to start a revolution and take him out?
No, ma'am. No. You know, I'm chilling.
Come on, man.
Too busy, you know. Dropping dead.
as fate would have it, in 771, Carloman suddenly dies. No brother, no civil war. The entire Frankish kingdom was now under Charlemagne's rule. He could now focus on turning his small family business, or kingdom, into an empire.
I know what you're saying, but there's the receipt.
Yeah, they are. We just need to check. We need to check them one more time.
This is a takeover. A corporate takeover. Kill them.
He spent the first part of his reign on military campaigns, securing borders, and crushing rebellions. Diplomacy was not his strong suit. At first, the expansion of his kingdom wasn't done in the name of Christianity, but rather security. According to historian C.W. Hollister, these initial campaigns weren't for the purpose of evangelism at all. Hollister says, Charles led his armies on yearly campaigns as a matter of course. Only gradually did he develop a notion of Christian mission and a program of unifying and systematically expanding the Christian West. So, if Christianity wasn't his reason for expanding his kingdom, how did Charles develop a notion of Christian mission? How did it go from just war to holy war? Remember, in the medieval times, you needed a few things to expand your empire. A crown, cash, a massive army, and a cause worth dying for. Charlemagne had 3 of the 4, and his 4th came when a Saxon raid party burned down a church. This first major military campaign was called the Saxon Wars, waged from the year 772 to 804. The Saxons were a Germanic people split into several tribes who all worshipped the wide selection of Norse gods, which to Charlemagne and Christian Europe was a serious no-no. Historically, the Franks and the Saxons had always been on friendly terms with trade routes amongst each other's territories. But all that changed when the Saxons burned down the church.
An attack on the house of God is an attack on God himself, which is then an attack on me.
Charlemagne believed that an attack on the house of God was an attack on God himself. Charlemagne used this attack as a catalyst to unleash holy fury upon the Saxons. In retaliation, Charlemagne sent his army into Saxony to destroy the tree of Irminsul.
Cut it down.
My pleasure.
This was a really big deal. You see, The pagan tree represented the sacred tree of life in Norse mythology. At the height of the Saxon Wars, the battered Saxon army rallied behind a warrior leader named Widukind, which translates to child of the forest. Widukind was brave and ruthless, but was heavily outnumbered by Frankish forces. When he was captured by Charlemagne, he refused to submit and receive baptism, which resulted in an event called the Massacre at Verdun, where Charlemagne is said to have had 4,500 Saxon warriors executed on a single day.
Papers. Here are the terms of our surrender.
Thank you for these papers. I'm sure they are very nice. Unfortunately, you still have to die.
What the what?
Over the next 33 years, 18 total campaigns will be fought in Saxon territory, resulting in their forced conversion from paganism to Christianity.
The terms of surrender are now accepted. Please proceed to conversion.
You are now converted.
The terms of surrender are now accepted. Please proceed with conversion.
Congratulations, you are converted.
This conquer and convert tactic would trademark Charlemagne's military campaigns. And no one in history used this method as effectively or as ruthlessly as Charlemagne. During the Saxon conquest, Charlemagne had the military might to conduct conflict in other parts of Europe as well. In 774, the Pope sent him a plea for help. The pesky Lombards were once again harassing the Papal States in northern modern-day Italy. Charlemagne marched over the Alps and took the Lombard capital of Pavia. He basically pulled a corporate takeover and became king of the Franks and the Lombards, again expanding his kingdom and his power. In 796, he went east toward the Avars and took the capital fortress known as the Ring. After taking the Ring, the territories to the north and south, with little to no bloodshed, started deferring to Charlemagne's rule and became tributary states of the Frankish kingdom. Think of tributary states like franchises, smaller branches that pay an annual fee to be a part of the big business. So, at this point, the Frankish kingdom was officially at its largest. So, why is this all important? It sounds like another guy trying to conquer the world. Well, what separates Charlemagne from every other conqueror was his administrative expertise. Remember that whole not good at diplomacy thing? Well, that changed big time. Charlemagne became a master of administration and basically ran his country like a Fortune 500 company.
I want to make this meeting brief. On today's agenda, we need to talk about the vacation days and the sick leave. Would anybody else like to add to the agenda?
Yeah, I wonder if we could maybe talk about adding a 401k plan to our benefits package. I think it would really boost the morale, eh? Yeah?
You know what would boost my morale? If I had a cup of coffee.
Charlemagne was able to maintain his rule over such a large area due to his organizational structures.
I hereby knight you assistant to the regional manager. I hereby knight you director of waste disposal. Bye-bye.
He delegated responsibilities to capable managers throughout his kingdom in the form of envoys, counts, earls, and duchies. This was a brand new concept and revolutionized the way territories in Europe would be managed for virtually the next 1,000 years. His middle management ensured that his memos or orders would be implemented and enforced in their respective territories. And get this, they even held mandatory annual conferences in which they discussed religious, political, and military matters. Mr. Bear, thank you for being here with us. We're at a critical part of our story. Charlemagne is expanding his empire, he is implementing these reforms, and then all of a sudden he gets crowned Holy Roman Emperor. What do you think the world needs to know about Charlemagne?
Ich denke, einer der wichtigsten Phänomene ist die Tatsache, dass Karl der Große jemand war, der Ordnung schaffen wollte. Und zwar überall. Karl der Große hat ein neues Münzsystem eingerichtet. Er hat neue Maße eingerichtet. Längenmaße, Hohlmaße. Er hat die Liturgie reformiert. Er hat die lateinische Version der Heiligen Schrift, der Bibel, revidiert und revidieren lassen. Er war sehr stolz darauf und er hat also ganz systematisch in allen Bereichen selbst versucht, Ordnung zu schaffen. Er hat also eigentlich in allen Bereichen, die man sich so vorstellen kann, ordnend und neu schaffend eingegriffen. Andererseits war sein Reich relativ vielfältig. Die einzelnen ethnischen Gruppierungen behielten, soweit sie so etwas hatten, ihre eigene Rechtssatzung. Also ein Franke wurde nach fränkischem Recht juristisch behandelt in einem Gerichtsverfahren, aber ein Langobarde nach langobardischem Recht, ein Alemanne nach alemannischem Recht und ein Bayer nach bayerischem Recht. Daran sieht man eben auch einen gewissen Respekt vor den Identitäten anderer und der verschiedenen Gruppen, die in seinem Reich vorhanden waren.
Was Charlemagne a good ruler?
Ich denke auf jeden Fall. Er hatte verschiedene Charaktereigenschaften, die einen guten politischen Führer ausmachen. Politisch-militärischen Führer müssen wir in der Zeit sagen. Er erkannte schnell Chancen und konnte dabei auch ganz rücksichtslos vorgehen, machtpolitisch rücksichtslos. Er erkannte auch Grenzen. Er konnte diplomatisches Geschick entwickeln. Karl der Große war jemand, der dem Recht Geltung verschaffen wollte. Auch eine ganz wichtige Eigenschaft für jemanden, der politische Macht ausüben will. Ein ganz großes Interesse an Wissenschaft, Philosophie, Theologie. Das ist so ein kleiner Hinweis darauf, wie die intellektuellen Interessen auch waren. Karl der Große wird leider zu Unrecht oft dargestellt als jemand, der nicht hätte lesen können. Aber wenn man bedenkt, dass etwa die Unterhaltung am Hof Karls des Großen, im großen Saal, jetzt wo das Rathaus hier in Aachen, wo das Rathaus in Aachen jetzt steht, dann haben wir so überraschende Nachrichten wie Tischlesung war Augustinus de Civitate Dei über den Gottesstaat. Und zur Abendunterhaltung wurden hochkomplexe, lateinisch formulierte Gedichte vorgetragen. Es ist sicher kein Zufall, dass Karl der Große der einzige von den Herrschern ist, die man mit dem schmückenden Beiwort der Große bezeichnet, der schon gegen Ende seines Lebens so bezeichnet worden ist, also zu Lebzeiten ansatzweise. Karl der Große ist eben ein großer Herrscher.
Fantastic. Mr. Bear, thank you. Despite the war, bloodshed, and forced conversions, the organizational and political reforms that Charlemagne implemented during his rule brought about one of the most significant moments in early European history, called the Carolingian Renaissance. You see, before Charlemagne, education wasn't a priority for anyone. Even royalty and clergymen were largely illiterate. Because of this, Charlemagne put an unprecedented value on education, language, and literature. It's been said that learning had no more ardent friend than Charlemagne.
Hey, welcome to Reading 101. If you don't know how to read, I will teach you. Number 1 rule, I before E except after C. Such as in the word die. Haha, see? D-I-E. Don't you see? Laugh, please.
He believed to properly interpret the scriptures, one must command the language and be fluent in Latin. In fact, Charlemagne forced his noblemen and clerics to get an education, even to the point of physical coercion.
Now remember, class, this is a safe space. There are no wrong answers here. Except when you write 9, what do you...
He may have conquered his kingdom with a sword, but he connected his kingdom through scholarship.
You get the education, or you get the education, or you get the education, or you don't get the education, or you get the education. Education for almost everybody.
Because of this new policy, a new generation of churchmen all across Europe, including here in Germany, were educated to a much higher standard than before. He also implemented a single currency and even a singular writing system called Carolingian minuscule, which introduced the idea of uppercase and lowercase letters. And he did a lot more than just demand everybody do book reports. During his reign, he implemented the organization of agricultural production, he standardized weights and measurements, and expanded his trade ventures into areas around the North and Baltic Seas. He even protected merchants from excessive tolls and robbery. These economic and social initiatives were motivated by his moral convictions. These ideas stimulated the economy and eliminated social unrest throughout his kingdom and across Europe. While Charlemagne was making huge improvements around Europe, the Catholic Church was once again in the middle of a huge scandal. In the year 800, Pope Leo III was accused of adultery and perjury. He claimed his innocence, but at one point was attacked by an angry mob and nearly had his eyes and his tongue ripped out of his head. It sounds like a mafia hit, and it basically was. It forced the Pope to flee Rome and come here to Paderborn, Germany, to seek protection from Charlemagne. Now, this was a unique predicament. You see, the Pope was accused of wrongdoing, right? So who in the world has the authority to pass judgment on God's appointed representative on earth? The only answer to that question would have been an emperor. But there was no emperor in the West, and there hadn't been for like 300 years since the fall of the Roman Empire. So the Catholic Church appoints the only logical person to preside over the Pope's trial. Charlemagne.
See, I didn't do anything wrong.
When the coast was clear, Charlemagne traveled back here to Rome with the Pope for the trial. And on December 23rd of the year 800, the Pope was found innocent and cleared of all charges. Now, here's where things get interesting. 2 days later of the year 800, Charlemagne walks into St. Peter's Basilica for Christmas Mass, and he's ambushed. It was said that when an unassuming Charlemagne knelt to pray at the altar, the Pope swiftly placed the imperial crown on Charlemagne's head, making him the first Holy Roman Emperor. So, not much changed for Charlemagne immediately after being crowned Holy Roman Emperor, other than a rebrand of the Frankish kingdom to the Holy Roman Empire. From a religious standpoint, it basically made him the secular protector of the church. Charlemagne was granted the necessary legal authority to dish out a whooping to anyone who conspired against the papacy. It also made him the official guardian of Catholic Christendom, giving him equal status to his Byzantine Empire rivals in Constantinople.
I made him Charles the Great. Remember that, it's because of me.
For the Pope, there were several political motivations behind crowning Charlemagne emperor. Number one, it was a power play. The Pope wanted to assert his authority over Charlemagne. After Constantine the Great, the Pope always claimed authority over kings and emperors. Also, by giving the imperial crown as his own personal gift, he was basically saying, hey, I might have been humiliated by accusations of sexual misconduct, getting kicked out of Rome and begging you to save me, but hey, I'm still Pope enough to make you emperor. Number two, from a military standpoint, the Pope wanted an emperor that could go toe-to-toe with the Byzantine Empire in the East. Number three, there was a real opportunity to possibly unify the entire Roman Empire, both East and West. This would have made Pope Leo's Holy Roman Empire the largest Christian empire since Constantine the Great. Regardless of the Pope's motivation, Charlemagne saw his coronation as yet another massive papal power grab. Remember the donation of Constantine that had tricked Charlemagne's father, Pepin the Short? Well, the papacy tried it again. Same scheme, different pope. Only this time, he saw it and was like, I'll take the crown and the title, but I ain't signing no papers, and thus completely avoided papal interference with his rule.
The Pope, he had tricked my father. He will not trick me.
The new Holy Roman Empire, under the leadership of Charlemagne, continued to grow in power and influence throughout the world. For the last 10 years of his life, religious reform became his main focus. A reform that motivated changes in behavior for all members of his empire.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to my PowerPoint meeting. We were going to have this over Zoom, but we're having technical issues. But this is better, huh? People all around. Reform ideas. We have conduct, legal reform, jurisdictional changes. Slide, please. First one, conduct. We need to love our brother and sister. We need to be more Christian-like, okay? If you do not, I will kill you personally. Next slide. Legal reform. Molly knows all about this. You need to go to the front and get the PDF files. It'll tell you everything you need to know, okay? Because I don't know. Next slide, please. Jurisdictional changes. Borders, borders, borders. We need to make changes to the border. We are going to go over that in depth, okay? For the next 5 hours, you listen to me.
Again, without these changes, Europe would not have the organizational fortitude to withstand and repel Islamic invaders just a few centuries later. In the year 813, at the age of 72, Charlemagne passed away of natural causes. His renewal of the Roman Empire in the West provided the ideological foundation of a politically unified Europe, an idea that has inspired European leaders ever since, sometimes even with unfortunate consequences. Two of Europe's most infamous leaders have tried to claim Charlemagne's legendary status. Napoleon once said, "I am Charlemagne," to papal envoys that were visiting France. And even Hitler had Charlemagne's imperial crown moved to Nuremberg during World War II to somehow legitimize his political authority. Charlemagne is arguably the most important king that Europe has ever seen. He united wildly different territories and ethnicities, and while they may have been conquered by force, they were kept together by his administrative expertise. After the fall of Rome, Europe lost hundreds of years of art, culture, and basic life skills. This threw Europe into chaos for centuries until Charlemagne. In one of the darkest ages in human history, he rose to power and provided stability for Western Europe. While we may not have empires or emperors in the traditional sense anymore, we can still rule our personal lives by one of the mantras of Charlemagne. He once said, "Do justice fairly, correctly. Treat orphans, widows, and all others without fraud, corruption, obstruction, or delay. Be humble and good to one another, and be faithful to your Lord." I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty good to me. We'll see you next time.